Hi guys, I hope you're getting this now. I couldn't actually beam from where I was. It was facing the wrong way. So now I'm going to try to connect with you guys again. I hope you can come on to this one. I'm really excited. Really excited. Thank you for coming. I've got one joining in, two joining in. Hi Lorraine, good to see you. Yay, Chico, that's great. Okay, I'm excited. Doc, good. I'm so pleased. Nicole, awesome. 5, Anna, yay. High five, everyone. I'm so excited. I'm getting 6 people now. Yay, hello, everyone. So glad to see all of you. Now, today's going to be quite an exciting topic. Hi, Anita, how are you? I'll just wait for a few seconds for people to come. My name is Philamae. My name is Phil. You can call me Phil. And I have been on the journey with William and Norma for quite a long time. And I'm so pleased to be in this group. Hi, Doc Alama. I was originally from Singapore. And Doc and I share a little bit of a history. I think Doc's from Malaysia and was in Singapore, if I'm right. Whereas I was from Singapore and I came to Australia. So I'm living in Sydney, Australia at the moment. And have been living here for over 30 years. So my kids are living here. Married to a Stephen. You'll hear Stephen's name every now and then. Hey Anna, good to see you. Hey John, good to see you. Awesome. I think I've got everyone here now. So not everyone, sorry. What I mean is I've got enough people to start on today's topic. I don't know if you have seen the last topic that I did. How I tend to do channeling. I can actually channel direct, especially when people have issues and they come to me, and therefore I can channel direct. So a lot of you are learning different modalities for channeling, and it's an awesome course. Doc says don't tell them too much, Phil. They'll start talking. It's okay. Good goss is great goss. Anyway, so all of you are learning to channel, and the whole thing with channeling is there are a multitude of ways to channel. You go by what you resonates with you most, but channeling is there is a need to do a channeling course, and I'm so excited that you guys are on this course, and I hope you'll take the 102 course too, because channeling is like a muscle where you have to continually practice, and then you find your own way of doing it. So my way of channeling is I do channel direct, but also I tend to channel my higher self. So people ask me, what's Phimo? Phimo was a term I used when I was in corporate life. I did a story about how I became a consultant, and it was finding Phimo. And Phimo is really Phil's mojo, which is at the time before my awakening, I didn't know what I meant by Phil's mojo is that thing that I can't explain that I do in corporate life to crack issues. But after my awakening 5 years later, it makes sense. My mojo is my higher self, right? So I used to, in consultancy, I used to feed my head with data and learning, right? Go to sleep, I wake up and I get an answer. So I used to call that Phil's mojo, which is not easy to replicate, but it's something that we all have. We all have a connection to our higher self. And in the expression of our higher self incarnate on earth, we are unique, right? So in each one of us, we have a mojo. And the hope is, with channeling, to connect to the mojo. So another way I do channeling, which is the way I started quite a few years ago on awakening, is that it started with writing statements, and it's called automatic writing. So I would ask myself a question sometimes, or sometimes my thought asks a question, and then I'll be writing some thoughts down. And for a long time, I didn't want to actually come out or share those insight or thoughts. So I gave my higher self and my crew, I call them my crew, which is the guides and the high vibrational energies that are around you who are guiding you. I gave them a teeny tiny window, and I used to write little quotes, right? And I used to put them in images, and I used to put them in an Instagram and in another Facebook page. Just simple, sweet quotes, quite profound quotes that I would just park to the side and say, okay guys, I've done it. And they basically forced me to get some people on it. So in time, I will be coming out more and more as to who I am and what I can do and what I teach. But today is exciting because today is a topic that has come through my experience with this beautiful Lightworker segment, the beautiful spirituality segment, and it has come at a time where I am in many different groups in my expansion of this area, and I started to find out that different groups were not saying good things about each other sometimes, or not saying good things to each other sometimes. And I have, and so I had this little knot in my stomach as to why are we doing this? I can't understand why we're doing this. So over the course of the last few months, the last few years actually, and I asked my higher self, why are people fighting? I don't understand this. We're supposed to come out to the mainstream, and we're supposed to come out to say something really important, to teach something really important. And if we continue on this path of trying to teach something but trying to beg someone else about teaching something, we're going to implode as a segment, as a smaller segment coming out. So why is this happening? So essentially, I've come to a download and a thinking of why it's happening and what we must do to help it. And so the title of this this hour is Unity in Diversity. And so then I automatically wrote some of the thinking around it, and what I'd like to do is share them with you. So I just want to check that we're all still here, everyone's still awake, not asleep, awake and listening in. Okay, I'm waving to, hi Laurie, welcome. I think I still see the rest of you here. Okay, so the title is Why Diversity in Teaching and Practice Exist, but Why Unity in Diversity Matters, right? So I'm just going to read a paragraph, and then if I need to talk a little bit more about it, I can do that. Great, thank you for all the thumbs up. Hey Heidi, welcome. I'm just starting on the download on the topic of unity and diversity. So this is the setup writing that has come through. So I'm just going to read this out. Humanity on Earth is, at this point in time, on the cusp of a mass awakening. For that to happen, we need to have the light anchors, light carriers, and light workers in place. Many light workers are currently stepping up to the call of their soul and stepping up to a more public life, like you and us, right? Together. We applaud you, is what the other side is saying. One of the biggest tripping point that isn't clear is that it is crucial for light workers to be different, to speak differently, to share differently, to heal differently, and even teach aspects of this new space differently, right? This is really important, and they're going to give a reason why. All of us have to do it slightly differently, coming from our soul self in our expression of light work, right? We're not cookie cutters. We're not the same people doing the same thing, and there's a reason for that. So they continue. Philamae has clarity on this. Her catch cries, and then they said, of course, it's our catch cries, wink wink is what they're saying, are unity in diversity and flying in formation. And she'll talk about these two in a while. So I'm still waving to everyone, yeah, to make sure they're here with me. Okay, so the first thing is to explain why is unity and diversity critically lived, right? They said these two aspects of unity and diversity and flying in formation is really important. However, many light workers are talking the talk, but not walking the walk. So, we all talk about oneness. Everyone knows it, everyone thinks it, everyone talks it. Some live it, some don't. Right? And it's really critical to understand why there is a need for diversity and there's a need for oneness in bringing us together in what we do. So unity and diversity is critical as a lived concept. Not as a talking concept, not as a thinking concept, but as a lived concept. Okay, so why is critical unity and diversity critically lived? They want me to then explain to you, and they showed me in visual format the diversity trajectory. Okay, so we were source energy before, and we splint it out, and we split out into many expressions. Some of it are galactic expressions, and some have come down to the densest form, which is to come down to Earth, a dense form, a very dense form, which is Earth, and we splint it out even further. So there are many, many split expressions of it, for which an energy, a group of energy has come down to Earth in a very dense format. Then through time, we continue to split. So we've got the different races, we got the different expression of the races. We were in different regions at that time. And in the past, in history, when we were in different regions, we were very much more homogeneous because we were separated, right, with water and with land. So we could have the same culture, similar culture, right? Same ascended master teaching what we call the same religion. At the time, it's not a religion, but it's an ascended master teaching. But we were far apart geographically. With time, as we're coming through, right, we are now cross-fertilizing. So when travel came into play, hi Norma, hello. When travel came into play, and then when technology came into play, which is the internet, we're starting to cross-fertilize more. We have come out of source and we binged out, right, to becoming separate, all the way to being very, very separate in our expression on Earth, right? But at a point, we're going to be so oneness coming out, being stretched out, but at a point, we're going to be starting to turn back into oneness. And that turning point is now, right? That turning point is in the last 20, 30 years is when it was happening. So when we're starting to turn back, we are still in our very separate forms, and we have the ability to cross-fertilize. We can look through the internet, we can look through travel, how different people are. The problem with humanity and with the ego and duality is that we start to judge others, and we start to insist that they be the same as us. So we are the turning point, going back into source, going back to oneness. That is what ascension is. We need to vibrate higher and higher to get back into source and to get back into oneness. Now the thing is, having split up into the 7 billion plus expression of humanity, right? Very different. We are diversified as a group of people. So we have our internal expression, we have our culture, our religion, our society. We have, even in the spiritual space, very many different thinkers in this space. So there is diversity, right? But we are turning back into oneness. So the question is, how do we go from oneness out to diversity, into the splitting up of expression, into separation in a very dense planet, right? Which is where we are at today. And how do we actually turn back? How do we shift 7 billion people plus back into the idea that we need to ascend and we need to work together as one again, right? So that is the backdrop to as human beings, we are diverse, right? So then they talked about, so that's a bit about diversity trajectory. We've come out, we are diverse now. So the question is, is how do we turn back into oneness, having pulled so far out and being so diverse and having 7 billion plus people. So here's the next part they wanted me to explain was the stats for conversion, right? For mass ascension to occur, we need to take into consideration that we have 7 billion people to help vibrate higher. To do this, we need a mass awakening to occur. If we have, and this is the critical point, if we have all light workers singing from the same hymn sheet, we can possibly only touch a fraction of humanity, right? If we say the same thing, teach the same thing, sing the same thing, right? If we show the same thing, we can only touch a small fraction of those that are not awakened. So what does that mean? So what they're saying is we need for spirituality to be taught from many perspectives. From within religion, we always put spirituality as there and religion as, oh well, they've not done it right. Really, when we want to touch many, many people, and the way to do it is we need very many perspectives in all sectors, right? Many awakened perspective in all sectors. Many awakened perspective who are aligned and awakened and in love to touch all sectors. So from within religion as well as beyond religion, but taught through many, many different lenses. Okay. So I talked about even in our, let's say 10% of the Lightworker group, if you go into different groups, it is quite territorial. Sometimes you hear this teacher talking bad about another teacher and they're just fighting it. And that for me is something I didn't understand, and that's what this topic is about. Why are we fighting? So firstly, they explain that there is a diverse group that we need to cater for, and therefore we all have to have a diversity in the way we teach and talk to people. So that's number one, right? They explain that to do that, we have to have an abundant mindset and know that there is enough space. So this is what they're saying. There is no basis for spiritual teachers or practitioners to take down other teachers or practitioners. There is a role for everyone, and there is a space for everyone. Life is abundant. We need to understand this. Life is abundant, right? We need to have this perspective when we are awakened and readying up for our purpose, like you, like all of us, right? There is enough space for everyone to be successful in. There is enough space for everyone to be different in. There is enough space for everyone to be successful in. We're not fighting for space at all. There's this 10% of us doing things very differently. There's this 90% of people out there. There is enough space for everyone. In fact, there's more than enough space for us all to coexist in harmony, working together to present and teach people to be more high vibrating and to connect with their higher self, right? So this is about that abundant mindset we have and the understanding that we have to have enough, that there is enough space for all of us, right? So then they said, do not fight for space, rather follow your bliss, because therein lies your uniqueness, which will be beamed out to the audience of your calling. So when you look within and you find that beautiful space of who you are and how you want to be in this time and space, in this now, and how you want to share and how you want to speak, when you're in that space of high vibration and connection, right, you will already be beaming out your light, and the people that need to come to you will naturally come to you. So you don't even have to go, where are my people? Are they having my people? Hey, they can't talk to them like that because that's my people. You know, that is ego leading us to think that we all don't have enough space to play in. Just beam the light from within, right? Connect with your higher self. Love the expression of you, who you are, not the expression of who other people is. There are a lot of beautiful teachers out there. You've got Norma and William, you've got Teal Swan, you've got, Pamela Arlen. They're all beautiful teachers, right? But we in ourselves are amazing, amazing teachers ourselves, and practitioners, teachers and practitioners. All we need to do is to align within, find out who we are, and it will and stay in high vibration, stay happy, and it will naturally beam outwards, and then it will call your audience to come. Okay, so that's really an important learning too. So then there's another phrase I talked about, which is flying in formation, and they want me to explain that together with them. Okay, so what they're saying is, not only do we have to live the precept that we are all one, right? We have to understand that in the Lightworker space, whilst all Lightworkers are diverse in our ideology, in our principles and practices, we are still walking the Lightworker path as one. This is really important. While we're all diverse, we're still walking that Lightworker path, which is to connect, vibrate higher, love one another. We're doing that as one at the highest level. Yeah. So they want me to talk about the analogy of flying in formation. A brilliant analogy is that you are all amazing, unique Top Gun jet fighters, all with different skills, different planes, different jet fuel, different ammunition, but each and every jet fighter is flying in formation, taking their specific form of awesomeness into the mainstream. So this is really important. We need to first connect with ourselves, build our jet fighter. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter how it compares to others. The whole point is don't compare to others, right? Don't insist others have to be like you. Yours is different. And we just fly information going out, right? Each is unique and we need to celebrate that uniqueness. It is really powerful when we can get our mindset around that, right? So then they start talking about, okay, let's talk about confusing and conflicting teachings, right? We know it's hard for you to figure out what teaching is right and which teaching is right and which teaching is, they put it in inverted commas, not right, right? Especially in sorting out your own light work. So that is quite hard as you're starting, and we're all starting on the trajectory of finding out, right? So you're starting to think, oh, but they said this, but they said that. What does that mean, right? This is what they want you to know. If the teaching comes from pure love, then all teaching is right. It is right. If it comes from pure love, it is right, right? We would lovingly ask you to go into your heart to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. So it's not that a teaching is right or wrong, it's that in your resonance, that teaching is right for you, or that teaching is not right for you at this point in time, right? So what you need to do is not to judge the teaching. What you need to do is to say, I am finding myself, my resonance, and building my jet fighter plane. I'll look out into what's out there. When the teaching vibrates with me and I feel happy and blissful at that knowing, you incorporate and integrate that into your jet fighter plane, okay? You integrate that. If a teaching is not right, don't judge it, don't insist it is wrong. You go, okay, I get it's different. I don't resonate well with it, but I'm not going to go out and just poo-poo all over it. I'm just going to say it might be right for someone else. As long as it comes from a pure love source, it is right. We've talked about diversity, right? In humanity, there needs to be a diverse way of touching each and every one of us, each and every one of them, for everyone to awaken and ascend. So connected with connected to pure love, the teaching is right. It may or may not be right or resonant for you. That is the learning here. So we would lovingly ask you to go in. Okay, so I've talked about that. Okay, so then the next point they wanted to say about this is, okay, so what if the teaching is not right for you? And there is a teacher out there, there's a light worker out there or practitioner out there, and it's not saying what you think is resonant, right? So it says, support light workers where you can. Your job as light workers is to actively support other light workers regardless of where they sit on the spectrum of high vibrational teaching and practice in this space. If you cannot do this because it's not resonating with you, if you cannot do this because what they're saying or doing do not resonate with you, that is okay. But then your job as light workers is not to cause aspersion, right? Let the universal energy sort it out for you and for others, right? When you vibrate differently from another, you will have the distance you seek. So if you vibrate differently, why do you go out and fight and try to change and insist on that difference? Because what you do is you then engage in a lower vibrational state, right? If it doesn't resonate with you, all you do is you march to your own band, right? And you feel high vibrational. You don't cause aspersion, and you understand very openly, inwardly, that all expressions from pure love is right. So what happens is that when you understand that there is that teacher will resonate with the audience that they call in, right? And you step back to that. Even in that way, you are supporting them, okay? So let the universal energy sort it out for you. When you vibrate differently from another, you will have the distance you seek. So you don't have to actively do anything to that teacher or to that school of thought. Okay, So then my mind must have gone and asked them, what about those teachers that seem like agitated or aggressive? So they wrote, a fine line between passion and aggression. Some spiritual teachers are strong in their views about a topic. It is their view they're receiving and interpreting downloads from their lens, and they have a passion about what they are trying to convey. How can we help others in their awakening if we aren't even passionate about what we're saying? So they are putting us in their shoes. Look, they have this view. They have this view that is right for them, that's resonating with their audience. They have this view that they can't teach unless they're passionate about it. Because when you're in your bliss, you're on path. It all ties together, right? So when they're passionate about it, sometimes they might get passionate to the point of being a little bit agitated or angry about other stuff. Just pull away. They have a right to be passionate. We have a right to also be passionate about what we do, right? So what they're saying is, so applaud their difference in their take. You don't have to follow it. You don't have to accept it. Applaud it, as well as the passion. So applaud their passion as well. Even if it sounds like they are agitated, angry, or confronting of other people's views. We don't have to get roped in on this one. Stay an observer of Earth's school, they're saying. Don't get roped in. Right? So look at the light work. Appreciate that light work is being done. Appreciate for the passion that is being expressed, right? But don't get roped in, right? Sometimes I do see in other groups that there's a lot of anger and angry exchanges. Don't get roped in. Just step out. Just say, there's a reason for that to happen. There must be a contrast to be lived out. It is not my contrast, so I step away, right? Okay. So then they talked about, fine line between passion and aggression. So they said, okay, some teachers speak in absolute, right? So also note this, when teachers differ in their teaching on, as an example, how to increase one's vibration, and they teach it in the absolute, right? Please, they're asking you to know it is not absolute for all, but it may be absolute for them, the teacher, and it may be absolute, it may be absolute for their audience, right? So be easy about that. So when people speak in absolute, teachers speak in absolute, they are passionate, right? They are believing because they've downloaded this, right? They are a different being and they're communicating to a different audience, and they have a right to be absolute, right? As long as they're not attacking others, they have a right to be absolute, right? In the same vein, as you teach on what you know, be passionate about it because you know it is your truth and the truth for those who will come before you as students. But don't be dogmatic. This is one thing that they want us to know. Don't be dogmatic. Don't start setting up rules about it. Dogma has kept religion contained in the dark in some aspects of religion, right? Don't swap one set of insistence for another. So they're very clear about this. It could be an absolute teaching from a teacher who is connected for the teacher's truth and for the audience's truth. It doesn't have to be for all. They're asking you to be strongly of the view of what your truth is, right? Be passionate, but then don't set dogmas around that, right? Okay, so that's that one. So they talked about how we should respond, right, to diversity and how we should respond to teachers. So then the next step is they wanted to explain also why does truth come in different as well, okay? So beyond the 3D, okay, so they want to talk about beyond the 3D then. Some reasons for the diversity of learning you're confronted with come from a broader perspective. So this gets a little bit interesting, right? So diverse soul backdrops. Many humans have volunteering souls that have originated from different galactics. You have the warrior Lyran feline race. I'm part that warrior Lyran feline race, who are here to push boundaries. You have the intellectual Arcturian race, They're here to use logic and science to win humans who are that way inclined over. You have the Lemurians, the Pleiadians, there's so many more. Many races out there, right? And also you have different aspects of races as well. Every galactic here in this now time is here to support the transitioning and to bring some aspect of change to humanity. Many humans are soul braids and all have galactic origins. With this comes a myriad of different, sometimes conflicting, what we see as conflicting perspectives to meet the myriad of needs. So this is really important. With different soul backgrounds, we may find lightworker actions we don't understand. As an example, driving change may sit in the space of activism, and some form of activism can be quite confronting. A warrior personality may handle the situation differently to a peace-loving and gentle personality. As a receiver and watching in on activism, yes, there is passion, but there is anger. We need to understand that different personalities make up the path to ascension, right? To change things, to increase vibration. The whole point is not to judge it from our lens. So we might have a lens of, let's say, a peace-loving, right, personality because of our soul braid and our galactic, right? We need to then look that is possibly another galactic soul braid or soul braid running the show on that space. So be aware that we are different and incoming energies coming through us are also different, right? So that's why there is that diversity. And that's why there's a diversity in teaching as well. What we wish you to take out is this: to acknowledge and appreciate the courage and the sacrifice made in the fight for the cause, right? Yes, not all actions are high vibrating. It's mixed with ego in contrast situations sometimes. But the intention is pure and loving and carries optimism for the future. Bless that intention. Pivot your mindset to that instead, rather than judge the negativity. Even if you dislike the anger, if you see a petition to help the cause, sign the petition and let it go. Don't mull on the anger. Don't mull on the activism that's angry. Pivot your attention to the passionate cause, the intention, the simple petitions that come along, and help it along the way. Okay, so that's that section. I hope this makes sense. Can you all just either wave or thumbs up or love hearts to say these teachings are making sense to you before I proceed? Yep, I got one thumbs up. That's good. Yep, more thumbs up. What I'll do is I will go through and try to scroll back to questions where I can. I might ask you to rewrite them as well. So let me finish this paper and then I will ask for questions then. Okay, so then they go, another reason why, from a beyond 3D perspective, that there is diversity in teaching is this: we all have access to diverse timeline experiences, right? So another reason for diversity seen in Lightworker space is that incarnates have infinite realities of the same reality as well. We all have many timelines to draw from, and all are multi-dimensional beings living in this physical life. And we know as we vibrate high and the veil thins, we have access to all our timelines. We have access to all realities of this reality, right? So the thing is that when we have access to this, how can diversity not exist in our teaching? Because we have access to so much more. We have access to our incoming souls and what they bring through to us, our soul braids and our galactics, and we have access to all the different lifetimes that we have had before, that we have had learning from, and all the realities of this reality as well. So what is happening is that we are becoming more and more multidimensional, and we need to accept that everyone else is as well. So while we have a truth to bring out, everyone else does, but they are a combination of quite a complex set of learning that's coming through today through their ability to channel the wisdom and insights. So if that is the case, how can there not be diversity? When one believes so absolutely about an experience they have had before, who are we, the other people, to say they haven't had the experience unless we have walked in their shoes? So that is, again, is really beautiful, right? We are not walking in another's shoes, so we have to keep an open mind. If they come from a pure space of love, we need to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, there is a role today for that piece of truth to come out expressed in that way for an audience in this 7 billion people that we need to try to help. And who are we to judge or insist on our truth, right? Okay. So what they're saying is, therefore, all viewpoints can be right, okay? So then they continue. I had them in headings, sorry, and then a paragraph. Can all light workers teach conflicting things and yet all be right? If humans are sovereign beings with free will and belief creates reality, then if light workers believe some things deeply and passionately enough, which may come from their galactics or come from their other lifetimes, would it come to pass that those beliefs are truths in their realities? Right? They have different realities to us as well, right? Existence from where we stand is infinite, changeable, ever expansive. It is near impossible for humans to understand from their vantage point this complexity. We would keep it simple. Tend to your own garden, right? Choose the flowers that brings you the most joy and let others tend to theirs freely. Wouldn't it be just more beautiful then if we were to tend to our own garden and believe in the truths we have and be passionate about it and teach the audience that are there for us what we believe? As long as we continually link with pure love, which is link with our high self, link with consciousness at large. And that's why channeling is really important. Okay, so I'm coming to a page or so left, so let me just continue this. Light workers have two roles. If we understand profoundly that we are here as a collective of light workers to raise the vibration of humanity and all on Gaia, which is the plants and the animals as well, the underlying principle of what we are here to do is this: to raise our own vibration and to help others raise theirs. It's very simple. To raise ours and to raise theirs. There are many, many ways that can be done. You don't even have to be awakened or know anything about spirituality to do both, right? I know that my children, when I talk about the things I talk about, they go, "Oh no, don't talk to me about it, gypsy." You know, they have this concept which we're trying to change of what people think about it, but they are vibrating. My eldest daughter is vibrating high. She's connecting to her higher self, and she's expressing herself that uplifts many, many people. She has like 200,000 followers, right? She's already doing what she's meant to be doing without needing to be awakened. She's an artist, but she does it in such a way that's beautifully uplifting. So there are many, many ways to skin a cat here. But what we need to do is we need to increase our vibration and increase the vibration of others. That's our two roles, right? Increase the vibration of others is as a subset to support other light workers as well, right? Do light work, support other light workers is the same. Okay, so they went on. So for example, where there's a lot of judgment today, right? If someone is helping someone else ease their suffering within the context of a religion we don't agree with, or you don't agree with, the person are still doing light work like you or I, right? If a person is helping 10 people and hurting one, as long as the hurting is not criminally offensive, their hurting might have been accidental, might have been, you know, they may have had a really bad time and they had a divorce, but they're helping other people. Let's not judge the bit that they have gone off on, right? But there is still goodness in that person, and that's really important for us to understand. We need to see the whole person, right, and not judge them on that one wrong thing that they have done, right? Then they went on to say the basis of warmongering in this light worker space is ego judgment within a context of like-mindedness. So we talked about having abundant mindset, and we talked about alignment with pure energy and pure love. So we need to be vigilant on the ego judgment within a context of like-mindedness. So start with the concept of this is an abundant space. How beautiful. There are 7 billion people that we can all help, and we can all help differently, right? Then take away the ego and not be insistent. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. Take that away. Everybody who is connected to pure love and energy is right, is the audience that they need to serve, okay? So we are here in this now time to heal and uplift ourselves, and we're here to do the same for another, be it a human, animal, plant, or for Gaia. No more, no less. We need to have clarity about that purpose. So then we say, what happens if we are the ones being attacked, right? They're suggesting, so if you are accepting of others within the concept of unity in diversity, what if you are attacked? When this happens, know that there is an aspect of the attacker that hasn't yet been healed. They are still living a contrast. And we should have compassion for that contrast. So they might be doing beautiful work, but there's an aspect that they're still struggling with, right? We need to say, hey, we need to have compassion for that, because in time they will heal on that. But if they're attacking us, there's no point going up and actually having a fight over it. Have compassion over it, walk away. It is not for you. Your boundaries are, it is not for me, right? Unless you're physically attacked and all that, then you go through the whole 3D legal thing, right? But the whole thing is, we can walk away. We have the freedom to do that, and we have the freedom to shift out of a negative space. So what they say is, we would ask you to step back and become an observer. Ask yourself, what would love do? When you do, you have invited your higher self in to be embodied for that situation. When that happens, ego steps aside. In cases like this, put on your magical glasses, the ones that can only see the light that they are beaming out and not the dark. We all have magical glasses if we choose to use them, right? And for the light they give. So look at the light they give. Be appreciative and send love. So that is really important in if we are attacked, what do? We rise up to be an observer, understanding that all life, human life, comes in, right, to live a contrast. I've lived my contrast. It was a tough contrast. It was decades long, right? So people still have contrast to live. If they haven't risen up and they're doing light work, be easy on them on that, okay? Just be easy on them. Because even if they attack you, if you've then are anchored with high vibration and trying to live unity and diversity, then just be easy, walk away, right? Don't bring down the vibration of humanity by fighting or telling people or doing things like that. And then they went, okay, oneness at its broadest. So they talked about attacking. Now let's talk about this oneness at its broadest. So we talked about how we moved away from source, and then we're all turning back, but there are this diverse set of humans out there, right? Very, very diverse, but we're turning back, and we're all now trying to ascend and trying to connect with each other in oneness to move forward back to source. So now let's broaden our perspective even further. What about darker energies and catalyzers? Okay, so now we're talking about oneness, and we tend to separate ourselves from darkness, or blame catalyzers and said, they're doing really horrible things, like the Illuminati and all that, they're doing really horrible things. If our consciousness believe that we are all one at the highest level, from source perspective down, we're all one. Consciousness is merged as one. On the other side, right? Okay, then we know that all life here on a duality planet is to create experiences for soul to expand, right? So whilst darker energies and catalyzers vibrate lower and cause pain and suffering, simply put, it is their job, right? Let's flip the perspective here. It is their job to do what they're doing, for others to learn, live through a contrast, rise to that learning, like us, right? And then find our purpose and to help others, right? So it is their job. They came in knowing full well that that's what they were going to do. In one of my contrast situation, when I was awakened, I thought, oh my goodness, I've been really horrid to a person who I asked to catalyze me, right, into a state of awakening, basically. So it is their job. Okay, what you do is appreciate that they have a really hard job to do, and they're not very much liked, by the way, but walk away, right? Do not get entangled in the web they have created. Light exists when there is dark. We can only be light workers because they are dark workers. It is their job, right, to do that. But what we're doing is that we need to understand it, and we need to help those who are suffering through the impact of their job. Light workers exist when there is dark workers. You all fit into a jigsaw called life on earth, and you are each other's co-creators. All lower vibrating energies who are incarnated are vibrating away from source. Come a time, they will journey back towards source as you are doing. So judging them only opens yourself up to ego influences. So in time, they will also flip back and go back to source and wonders. But their time is not now. Their time is still to take up the role of catalyzers. Their time is to take up the role, if they're not incarnate as dark energies, to help with the awakening, right? Because a lot of people will awaken through the dark night of the soul, and their time will come when they will face their faces back towards the light and start moving back again. So again, be easy on that, right? You don't have to play with it. You don't have to exist in the space of it. You vibrate high, and they will no longer be in your space, right? Okay. Finally, they had a caution here. Okay. With the timeline splitting into multiple realities of different resonance, we would caution you that darker energies and catalyzers will be working harder to reduce the impact of light workers, or even to trip up light workers. You will find catalyzers. You'll find them in Facebook groups, YouTube, commentary, who may choose to engage in low vibrational exchanges. We wish for you to stay vigilant and protect your energy well. Learn to pivot away, no matter how attractive it may be, to join in the exchange. So that was just their final point about just be vigilant. So I hope I've explained to you why diversity exists to start off with, right? In humanity, in terms of us teachers teaching, right? That fundamentally there is technically no right or wrong. We're here to walk our truth and teach our truth, and our audience will come. And to touch as many people as possible, we all need to be different, right? But the important thing in being different is not to take down others who are different just because we are so certain of our truth. Once we step up as an observer and know that there are many truths to touch many people, for the mass awakening to happen and for the mass ascension to happen, then we understand that we're all jet fighters in formation going out with very different planes, very different fuel, very different skills. We all need to go out facing the same way and not facing each other, okay? The timeline is such that it will slowly split and there will be multiple realities. We want light workers who have worked so hard to be in the timeline of grace, to be in the timeline of the new earth. So help them, not hinder them in terms of what they're trying to do. Okay, I think that was the download on this topic. I don't know if this sort of topic writing is helpful to people, to give you snippets. Why this, I believe, is really important is we are all becoming who we're meant to be, the light workers we're meant to be. And giving this perspective, as per the last topic I've given, is really important to helping us. The last topic was how do you embody your higher self, right? How do you balance 3D and 5D? This one is how do you view the world when the teaching is so different? And how do you unite the basis of that? So I might actually put on my glasses and scroll through. And if you've got any questions, I'll check the time as well. What time is it now, honey? I'm just asking Stephen for the time. 5 to 10.
5 to 10. 7 minutes.
Oh, okay. There's not a lot for time for questions, but I can answer it after. I've got 7 minutes more, so I'm just scrolling in for questions. Service to others is a common good and is a universal principle which can be applied, and oneness is evident. Doc, that's perfectly right, exactly. And yeah, because I've got 7 minutes, I'm trying to find questions relating to this topic. Yes, no, it's true. If you get caught, if you have been attacked and then you get caught up with another attack, the two are hurting, right? If you are caught, so then let's build on to that. If someone attacks you, right, and you start attacking that someone, not only directly but to a lot of other people that they know, because you want to prove that you're right, and that's an ego proving, right? Then what's going to happen is you're going to take a collective down. So that is not the way to play it, right? So I agree with you, Norma. Perfect. Norma said, I think that many people will be surprised about their own past lives and how they have grown. Yeah, finding out about your past life for me was quite integral, because, and I know that Norma does that, right? So what happens is we actually carry the knowledge and wisdom from different lives, and it's not actually past lives, it is lives existing at this now time. But to help with our thinking, it's easier for humans to think of it as a past and future life, and it's fair enough to call them that as well. But it is things that we can tap into at any point in time. Okay, I don't see any specific questions. All I want to say is, this cause is an amazing cause. I hope you guys continue with it. The more we anchor and align with our higher self and with our crew and with the higher consciousness, the more certain we are of two things. The more certain we are of knowing the truth and the path and what we're trying to help people with, what our brand or expression of light work is. And it could be different. It could be almost, you can even invent a new one. It's all from your truth, right? That's one thing. And the second thing is that when we anchor really high, we trip up less, because what we do is we become an observer, right? And we become all loving, right? And all the things that I'm saying today will be almost truths for you as well. And I'm sure it is now, because you're connecting more. So yes, Doc, can I say something? Yes, Doc, you may. I don't know how to invite you in. I don't think I'm facing the right way. Laurie this says, this is very helpful for me, as I'm quite afraid to move ahead, fearing the judgment of others. Laurie, I was in the same space where it was really difficult. I had a corporate life. I still have a corporate life, right? And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I'm flying in corporate life. And as soon as I say, hey guys, I like crystals, I talk to the other side, hey, I can do card reading or whatever. I thought I would go through this nosedive, right? My corporate life and my way to earn money would just dive down. And I kept it quiet for so long. It is only in the last 6 months that I started coming out in my mainstream Facebook page, and you're all invited there to that. I had a hidden Facebook page just to write quotes to put in, not that I really wanted to generate. But you know something? I have now spoken to 2 CEOs about my spirituality and my ability to download and connect with consciousness. One was before a pitch, and I still got the project, right? In fact, during the course of the project, he said, "Oh, can you download this for me, please?" Right? That was like amazing. It blew my mind. Then I went to Japan to do some work, and I met up with another CEO. He owns this company, and then suddenly I started talking about this, which I rarely talk about in business, on the business side. And before I met up with him, I haven't seen him for 50 years. I downloaded, why am I supposed to speak to him? I wrote out what his purpose was. In that conversation, he was talking about something which was exactly what came out in my download about him. And what the reason for me having a meal with him was to show him that he was on path. So Being afraid of judgment is our ego trying to make us small, make us smaller. We can exist in the mainstream. Metaphysics is taking off, right? We can exist, and we can exist with the backup of metaphysics over time. So we need the Arcturians incarnated in scientists and in Lightworkers who will talk about this metaphysics. We don't have to know everything. All we need to know is we're all interconnected and we're all here to support each other. Coming out is actually a really difficult thing. I used to joke with my LGBTIQ friends and family and said, you think coming out is hard, me coming out in this space and in my mainstream space is even harder. So anyway, that's fascinating. But do not worry, Laurie. Get stronger, connect more. When you connect and go through, the channeling course helps you connect. The more and more you're connected and channel, practice it, you will then be more and more confident of your truth. And then you'll realize that the truth that we're bringing down and the insights we're bringing out is phenomenal, right? How can it not be truth? I spent a whole year, right? I am a researcher, have been a researcher for many 30 years or so. And what I did was, when I was first awakened, I put on spreadsheet everything that was synchronistic, spiritual, that cannot be explained by life itself, by what we think life is. Well, anything coincidental, I kept it out. In 1 year, I had about 100 100 data points of unexplained truths, right? And synchronicity, unexplained. So when you start connecting with your higher self, when you start knowing your truth, when you start seeing synchronicities, the confidence you will have will help you come out to the mainstream world much easier. And especially when you find a way to help, the calling in your soul to help another, to help in the way you express yourself, will be profound in your confidence as well. Okay, so request to be invited. Oh dear. Okay. Oh, okay. Let's see if. Hey, Doc.
Hi, hello.
Hey, Doc.
Hi. Hi, Steve. How are you doing? Thank you so much for such an inspiring talk. I have to say that I'm sure, it's just so appropriate what you just said. And I know a lot of us are going to take this to heart. The thing I wanted to share with you was this. You talk about competitiveness. I've seen this so often within the charitable sector, when they've all got the right idea, but actually they're fighting one another to try to get their pitch in. And similarly, I've seen that with food banks, where one food bank from one lot is trying to compete with another food bank from another lot, and they don't actually understand it. They're all doing the same thing. The thing I just wanted to share with you was where we live in Wales, there's a lot of service to other type initiatives, from helping refugees to food banks to befriending elderly, lonely people. And where you look at these initiatives, you actually find like-minded souls there. And it's really amazing because we're all thinking in the same way. And when you see it, you can't do everything all the time, but when you see it as like a pattern on a wall, that it needs all of these different elements of that pattern to make the picture. And that's the way I sort of saw it, because I thought, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, but actually you haven't got enough time. Just haven't got enough time. So it's just choosing the thing that resonates with you.
If we can see the energy of who we are as light, I'll bet there's some sacred geometry, a pattern scattered around the world, right, to do the stuff we're meant to do. I'll bet, right? So you're right. It is coming up from everywhere now. They're aligned and awakened people doing it, but they're also unawakened but highly aligned people doing this, right? It doesn't matter if they are awakened or not, as long as they are serving God's purpose and helping humanity. That's a cool thing, right? And helping humanity can be smiling and hugging someone. It doesn't have to be what we think as this message thing.
Yeah,
uplifting. It's all about vibration,
indeed.
uplifting a vibration every
Yeah,
way we can, right?
indeed.
And not
I
judging and not.
I also had a very professional life where, again, talking about this sort of stuff could get me sectioned into hospital, basically. But the thing, the techniques or the ways in which I used to sort of mention things to people if I passed them by, there were a couple of things I used to use. Was one, you won't believe this, but I had a funny dream last night. I was going to talk to somebody about this, and this was the message I was supposed to give. Okay. And usually people are a little bit more receptive rather than saying, oh, by the way, did you know this? And the other thing I found is sometimes if you ask somebody about something, there's not as an open question, um,
Mm,
and they're receptive to an answer, you can sometimes say that actually, I know of somebody in a similar situation, and this is what they applied. Okay, so
yeah,
you don't directly tell them what you've been told or what you're going to say, but actually you indirectly get the message
yeah,
across. And it struck me, it's almost similar to water and a stone. If you want to move water through a stone, the Western way of doing it is to drill a hole through the stone and then you let the water pass. The Eastern way is to let the water go around it and slowly, slowly, slowly the stone will wear its way through anyway and you get the water through anyway. But it's just a
yeah,
different technique of getting the message out there, which is less threatening and exposes
yeah.
you less when that happens.
We need to do things with the least resistance,
Yeah,
because resistance will cause resistance, right?
yeah, yeah,
So,
that's right.
so if you see you're walking a certain path and someone's pushing you away or whatever, just go
Mm,
around. Just go around. It's not
yeah,
that hard, you know.
indeed, indeed.
And if we live in wonder and from an observer's perspective, everything is actually quite funny for
Yeah,
me, in my view. Even when was living the contrast I was having, I was still having a giggle at stuff, right? Because we are here in our own concocted play to learn a certain experience or lesson
mm,
that we've asked so many people to come in the way to help us with, right? If you can actually see it from that perspective, you have less resistance to
yeah,
life.
absolutely,
Therefore, your
absolutely,
principles are
indeed,
bigger as well.
indeed. And the last thing I just want to say, after this conversation, we need to catch up about the kids because we had the same issue with our kids as well. But I'll tell you what happened to us another time. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you for coming on.
You're welcome. Good
Yes.
night. Bye now.
Bye. Okay. I'll just thank you, Doc. Okay. Yes, Laurie, keep practicing. It'll be cool. It'll be easy. Trust me, it gets easier and easier to be who we are authentically out to the mainstream. And this year is my coming out coming out year. Woohoo! In fact, when I was telling one of my friends, Russell, oh yeah, this is my coming out year. I think Russell and I think my brother said this. This is the worst kept secret in the new age, or in the age of Aquarius. So he says it's the worst kept secret anyway. So that's really funny because I've been like sprinkling thoughts here and there. Anyway, if anyone's got any questions or want to come on, I'm happy to do that now that I know how to do it. Anybody else? Okay. I think I've taken a lot of your time. I might actually let you guys go then. Sending you all love. Keep doing what you're doing. It's an amazing journey. Keep doing what you're doing. It'll be awesome. Go on the 102. It's awesome because to vibrate high, we need to learn to connect. The 102 helps you drop the negativity that pulls us down, the trauma negative that pulls us down so that we can float even higher. So everyone, keep doing that. I look forward to connecting with you, and I look forward to what they are going to tell me the next topic is, and I'll write some thoughts down and I'll share that with you. If you guys find this useful, write in the comments if you find this system useful. Thank you, everyone. Bye.